Welcome to the Fit Dad Club podcast. You're here with Travis Jones, and I'm here with Jason Barrett. How you doing today, Jace?
Doing really well, man. Doing really well. I'm well every week. Every day. It's a great day to have a
Wow.
great day.
Well, I feel most days when I wake up and I'm alive, I treat it as a good day. So
Yeah.
that's certainly a positive. I'm
Yeah.
here and I'm me,
Yeah.
which is definitely good. So today we want to talk about accountability, discipline, and sustainability with your body transformation. We've already talked about goal setting, setting up your year. We've already talked about how to achieve your body transformation. We've talked about mindset. We've talked about stress and sleep and the factors that, can hold us back from achieving our goals. So if you haven't watched or listened to those podcasts, go back, listen to those. They give you a great base foundation of knowledge for you to be able to execute your transformation and achieve the goals that you want. I think anyone can achieve their goals with that base foundation. So you get a notepad out, they're about an hour long each, write out all the notes as you're going through it, and that will give you that base foundation. As we go into the episodes from here, we'll go into some more nuanced topics like accountability, discipline, and sustainability that will build on top of that initial foundation, which is the platform of all success. Now, with that, if you ever have any questions that you want us to answer, just shoot us a message on Instagram, on Facebook. If you do want to sign up and you want to get coached, go to fit-dad.club and sign up for a call. We can see where you are, what's holding you back, and how we can get you to your goal. But other than that, let's get into it. We're going to start off with accountability today. And I think accountability is the key thing that gets every single person started. When you're trying to change your life, okay, it's very hard to do it by yourself. Okay, it is very hard because you're trying to change literally the person that you are. So to change, we need accountability. And I think the two most crucial factors to transforming any type of your life is accountability plus proximity. Proximity to someone who, one, you respect or is doing what you want to do, and accountability by them to make sure that you're showing up on a daily basis. And if you have that accountability and you miss a day and you have a call or you have someone checking on your nutrition or your training, it's that back of your mind reminder. It's like, I know Jace is looking at my stats right now. I've got to get my crap together.
He's not happy.
Exactly. Or the same thing, it gives you accountability is different factors. It's like we just did a 42-day challenge where, the guys were scoring 3 points a day. One was for steps, one was with tracking their training, one was for doing tracking their nutrition. And they could get 3 points a day, and they were posting their points daily in a group with their peers of other dads. And the accountability of them knowing that someone else is doing what they need to be doing and they have similar constraints to them, that actually gave them this self-motivation to go, well, if they can do it and I'm accountable to post my points for the day, I don't want to post, a bunch of zeros. Like I want to post my threes, and I'm accountable to them indirectly because I know that they are doing it. And a lot of the guys reached out to me. I was like, the 42-day challenge was so good because it kept me accountable to getting the 3 points a day, to making sure I was crushing my habits. And from there, they stayed on track. What's your thoughts around accountability, mate?
I think the biggest thing, which is kind of sad at the same time, is that accountability, it does get results, but it's mostly because people will hold themselves accountable to other people more so than they will to themselves, right? And that's kind of where we talk about discipline a bit later on, is where you can really hold yourself accountable to yourself. And that's where discipline comes in. But having someone else, we're so much more afraid to let someone else down, especially if you're paying for coaching or you're paying for a service. You're not only is it, hey, I'm putting money into this, I want to get my money's worth, but it's also, I don't want to waste this person's time, all this other stuff that goes through your head. So it is a really powerful motivator in the short term, and it is the key to getting results in the short term. Anyone who's ever been successful in this transformation has started by hiring someone, getting someone to say, hey, I want you to text me every single morning and say, go to the gym, you fat shit, or whatever it might be. I remember there was a story of someone doing that and he ended up losing, a couple hundred pounds. A couple hundred kilos would be impressive. But the I guess the key with accountability is just having someone who's there to check in on you, that you respect, that you don't want to let down. They're like, okay, cool. No, I have to make this happen. But it all comes back to having a goal that you want enough where the accountability matters, right? Because if you're just kind of wishy-washy about what you want, then the accountability is not going to do shit. So first you've got to know what it is that you want. Then you've got to find someone to hold you accountable. And it doesn't have to be to the extreme, and it doesn't have to be forever, but it has to be at least for that first teething period. Otherwise you're going to struggle. Otherwise you're just going to because you don't trust your word enough and you don't trust your own instincts enough when you're first getting started. But we've talked about this before, because if you constantly say you're going to do something and then you don't, it just adds that other notch into your sort of the self-doubt column of your mind. And when other people tell you to do it, then it's like, fuck, I'm going to do it for them. It's like that starts to build your confidence to the point when you can start to set your own goals and you can start to set your own milestones and tasks that you need to complete, and you'll hold yourself accountable to them, which is where we sort of go into discipline. But you've got to start with accountability, either someone else or someone, you know, a coach, a friend, someone who is going to be on you and that you can report to. Otherwise, you're going to lose face in some way. There's got to be like a loss. I've known some people that would be like, if you don't do this, I'm going to donate, or you have to donate $100 to a charity that you hate, like the Westboro Baptist Church or like the Nazi Party or so, like shit like that, where it's like, I'm really don't, as much as it's like, oh, you know, if you did something, you could gain it. It's like, fuck, if I don't train 3 times this week, I'm going to have to donate $100 to these racists, like the KKK or some shit like that, right? Like that's a fucking motivator. It's like, if you don't get these workouts in, you're a racist.
Well, mate, that is definitely, I've not heard that, but that is definitely a motivating version of accountability. I've done that with a friend in the past though. When I always love point systems because I love games and I love winning and losing, right? Like that's me, you know, from the moment that I understood sports and understood winning and losing, like that has been, and my intern, and it's not to win against other people, it's to win against myself. When I can compete against other people, shit, that goes to another level. But I'm just a competitive person. And I think we all are to an extent with ourselves. It's making sure that the game we're playing, again, we've talked about comfort zones. It's not too far outside our comfort zone that we're going to lose, because then if we're losing and we're trying to play the game and we keep losing, then we give up. But it's like making the game, you have to do the work, but it's just outside your comfort zone that you can still win. And I like to look at a point system always with accountability. And, you know, the couple of big levers, because I always look at the broad strokes. Okay, so the broad strokes are, let's get our steps in, let's get our nutrition done. So we're hitting a certain amount of calories in versus calories out. We're inside a calorie deficit. We're going to start to lose weight. And we have our training because we want to hold muscle mass. We don't want to become skinny fat. We want to become lean, mean machines. So when we look at this, it's 3 points a day. You get a training session, you get your steps in, and also you get your nutrition tracked under your calories or within 50 calories, right? So the ability to hit 21 points a week is a goal. Now, you could do this with a friend and you start tracking in a WhatsApp group, you and them. At the end of every night, by 9 p.m., you have to post your points for the day, right? And then you have a points for the week. And maybe at the end of the week, whoever gets the most points, they have to pay the other person $50. Right? You could start winning money. You could do it in a group of 4 people, and the person for the most, you start making money with this. Like, this is actually a really good idea.
Get good at it first and start fleecing people.
Exactly, 100%. Get as many as you can. You get your own like tipping league. So with this, so you can be financial, or you can make it so you're just keeping each other accountable. I think, you know, Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich was like, to have a mastermind, this accountability circle is one of the key factors to achieving results in life. And I think if you can look at this, you can have your mini mastermind if you're not paying a coach with someone else. These are the 3 criteria. I know if I hit on the daily basis and I'm accountable to them and I have to post on the daily, not on the weekly, because remember, when we talked about the motivation equation inside goal setting, we need to shorten the delay cycle. So if we can do it daily, that's the shortest possible delay cycle there is. Because if not, you might not score any points for 3 days. You're like, I'll catch up my points towards the end of the week. It's like, that's not how it works. Mm-hmm. So we want to try and go minimum 2 points a day. Maybe that's your goal at the start. Maybe it's minimum 1 point a day. When people are lost their motivation, we can talk about this more in discipline. We can start low and then start to build the amount of points for them. But you're scoring these daily points and you're doing it with a friend. They're keeping you accountable. You look at your tally each week and you can slowly, progressively overload the amount of points you're going to score each week from there on in. And that's when we're looking peer-to-peer accountability. When you're looking at a training buddy accountability, if you know that it's 4:30 in the morning and you said you're going to wake up and show up at 5 a.m. and you're doing it by yourself and you're just training by yourself, it's so easy to press snooze. It's so easy to tell yourself you're too tired. It's so easy to justify why you aren't going to go to the gym. But if I knew Jace was going to the gym and he was going to meet me there, I'm not going to let Jace down. I'll let myself down every day of the week. That's what we do as human beings. But when we have someone else that we're going to let down, we rise to the occasion and we start showing up. And that's like our physical accountability buddy by having a training partner that you're going to show up 4 times a week for. So that's when we're looking at the training aspect of it. You could have a nutrition accountability with a coach, right? Okay, every Sunday, I want you to plan out what your meals for the week are on a sheet of paper. I'm going to want you to write down what your breakfast, lunches, and dinners are. And you've had now a proactive thought pattern around what you're going to eat. And you're going to send me what you're going to eat. So it's creating some form of an implementation intention. We talked about this in habits, and that can be accountability for your nutrition. So I think when we're looking at, there's coach-based accountability when they're looking over your stats and they can help tell you what to change to make sure we're getting the results on. But every single thing, it's accountable to a form of one, it has to be structured. 2, it's best when it's someone else that you look up to because you don't want to let them down. And 3, where you can't justify and have a long delay cycle with your accountability. I think those are the crucial factors to accountability that I believe.
Yeah, I completely agree. Having that person that you don't want to let down is one of the biggest parts of it. And from a nutrition perspective as well, this is why it's important to get people in your household on board with what you're doing. This is why it's important to vocalize and to talk about your goals. I had a client yesterday I was talking to who he dropped 3 kilos in his first week. And part of the reason why he did that, he's like, at work now, everyone knows what I'm doing. They all know what I'm trying to achieve. And they're all holding me accountable. They're all making sure that I'm not going to go to snacks and go to the cupboard and grab this and that. So the people around you, the environment, which is always stronger than willpower over time, is what you got to get that on your side. So it's the same thing with people at, whether it's your workplace, whether it's your mates, whether it's people who live in your home, your wife, your kids, that kind of stuff. Be like, hey, look, dad's not going to eat. He's not going to eat fucking Oreos anymore. Okay. It's just not what he's going to do. Right. I say that because I do have a pack of Oreos in the fridge, though, a cinnamon flavor, but you go one a day, you track it, you can make it work. But if you can't handle that sort of moderation, then leave them out. Right. I'm bulky.
Mate.
You can have one.
Mate, that's 100% me. Like I cannot, if there is a block of chocolate or a pack of Tim Tams in the house, right? I have no willpower, right? So for me, I'm accountable to live. We just don't have it in the house, right? It's something super simple for us. Or if she buys chocolate, she puts it in the fridge because I don't like chocolate from the fridge. That's just very easy for me.
Yeah, you like it melt in your fingers.
Exactly, man. That's the type I like. And I hate chocolate from the fridge. So it's like, again, structuring your environment and exactly what you said, keeping accountable to someone else. If you drink too much, like go down to the local bar when you're not pissed and probably when they're not allowed to serve alcohol and say, hey, I'm trying to change my life. You aren't allowed to serve me for the next 4 weeks, and put your photo up on the wall. So it's like, be accountable. Like there's so many different ways. We don't need to fall to temptation and justify poor behaviors. Or the boys just said to have 1 beer no, like be accountable. Say, guys, I want you, if I try and slip up, I want you to do A, B, and C to make sure I stay on track. I think when we're looking at accountability at the very start, if you're accountable to someone for the first 3 months, 4 months of a transformation, once you're trying to really get these habits in place, okay, because once you've done it for 4 months, you've lost like 15 kilos, you've lost like 20 kilos, you've trained 4 times a week, you've scored, 18 to 20 points a week, you've ingrained these habits in your life. Now it's not about being accountable to someone, it's about staying disciplined. And I think that's when we go from accountability meets discipline. And discipline is, at the end of the day, it boils down to one thing. It's doing what you said you're going to do when you're going to do it. Okay, if that's discipline, it's being the guy that does the work even when they don't want to do it, or also doing the work when no one else is around. Because sometimes it's all good when other people are watching us, but when people aren't watching us, we fail discipline. It's like I think a good game for us to all play is pretend your life is getting live streamed on Facebook. Okay. Just imagine this, right? You wake up in the morning, and as soon as you wake up, all of a sudden your life was live streamed for the day. And this day, literally the Truman Show, right? And from this day is a documentation of your life. It is recorded. It is saved in the vault, and your kids and your grandkids and their kids are going to watch this documentation of how you lived your life. And it's a representation of you, of your habits, your character traits, your energy level. Now, if you did that and you were getting documented and this is how you were remembered, do you think you would wake up in the morning and you press snooze 17 times, start saying, oh, fuck, I can't be bothered getting up today. I hate my life. Look at your partner. They rolled away the other way. You haven't talked to them last night because you had a bit of a tiff over something that wasn't important. You know, you're late to work because, you know, you're yelling at people in traffic because you took off too late. You didn't eat properly. You skipped the gym because you pressed snooze 17 times. You know, you start grabbing crappy food, which your energies are down. They see you're sinking 17 coffees to try and keep yourself awake inside your job. You know, you're running out to get some fast food at lunchtime. You know that that's not going to actually optimize your energy. You know, it gets to 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and you're about to knock off work and you're like, today was such a hard day. You start justifying alcohol and other poor choices as well. It's like, and then you get home at, you know, you put your kids to bed at 7:30 and you watch TV for 3 hours, you know, watch Netflix. Oh, I have to watch my 3 Netflix episodes. I can't, like, if that's a representation of your life, what do you think? And that was filmed. What do you think your kids and your grandkids, if they watch that, they're like, oh, dad was a granddad or great granddad was a lazy mofo, right? Who literally had no self-integrity or self-respect because he said he was going to wake up and he didn't. He said he wanted to have abundance of energy and he didn't. And all the things that he said he would do, he didn't do. So that's the negative live stream, right, of discipline. And if we look at, okay, well, if that's the worst case scenario, and if we could have a best case scenario, how would that live if I was being live streamed and all of a sudden, you know, I wake up, I get up, I, you know, go to the gym, I move, I, you know, be proactive around my nutrition choices because I know that optimizes my energy. You know, when I'm faced with challenges, this is how I manage stress based off the previous podcast. You know, this is how, when I train because I want to be strong and to be the best version of me. I get home, I give time to my family, my kids, because I have abundance of energy. I can go and play with them. You know, at this time, this is when I prioritize, you know, a bit of education or sleep, or this is my sleep routine. Then they watch this and it's like, wow, like no wonder dad, granddad, great granddad got so much done. No wonder, because he was a disciplined person and it gave him the freedom to live the life the way he wanted, because that's what it is, right? Discipline equals freedom. You're like, and when people say that, a lot of the time it's like, this is what my day looks like and this is what my weekends look like. My days are structured from like 4:30 in the morning until pretty much 8:30 at night, Monday to Friday. Fridays I don't have any structure after, you know, really 7:30. It's my non-structure night. And then I work on Saturday mornings. I'm structured pretty much from 5 a.m. till sort of noon on Saturdays. I have no structure between 12 noon on Saturdays and Monday morning. That's my undisciplined time where I'm like, when I say it's like, it's not actually locked into a schedule. And they're like, wow, like that's really rigid. That's a boring way to live life. It's like, well, is it boring? I get to have time every day when I play with my kids and I have energy for them. Is it boring? I feel really great about my health. Like I have a business where I can work the hours I want to work, and I've created this thing where I can help people every single day. I love my nighttime routines in education. I sleep restfully every single night. It's like, no, like discipline is not a bad thing. You know, discipline is a great thing because it gives you the freedom of energy, freedom of financial sustainability and vitality. It gives you, you know, this abundance of energy. Discipline gives you great and loving relationships. I think discipline is the overarching factor to having the freedom in all of the aspects of our life that we want to be great. And I think that's where people get it wrong.
Yeah, it comes back to like, what do you actually want in life, and are you willing to do what it takes to get there? And yeah, there's the initial phase where you need accountability, you need someone to sort of push you to get you there. But if what you're chasing and what you're looking for is actually important to you, then you are going to have to work at it every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year. It's just going to be progressive. And when it comes to discipline, as you were saying, discipline equals freedom. You've got that free time. How many of us would love to have like a day and a half of just unstructured free time, like Saturday midday through till Sunday night, have that as just full unstructured free time? Most people don't actually get that. They think they have that because they've got no structure in their day, but then they're like, oh shit, I didn't realize I've got to do this. And oh, I haven't done any workouts this week. Oh, I've got to get one done on the weekend now. Oh, we haven't done our weekly shopping. Oh, what is it? And they spent all this time thinking and planning and trying to have like they put this half-assed structure into place as to what their week then looks like. But then they don't do any planning of their week. They don't stick to any of the things of their week. And then they don't reap any of the benefits from an energy perspective, from a health perspective, again, financially, any of the different aspects that are important, right? This is why you schedule things like date nights, so you can put intentional connection in with your partner. And we spoke about this before, but your life will either come to you, it'll either be by default or by design. Yeah. So your life will just, your schedule will fall together just by default. And let me tell you, the default is shit. Right? The default level of what your standard is as far as the daily activities that you do, as far as when you wake up, when you go to bed, what your intentions are, is usually pretty bloody average. So if you don't design it, and this is a quote I love, if you don't put your priorities in your calendar, someone else will put their priorities in your calendar. So in order for you to have discipline, you have to have structure. In order for you to have structure, you got to give some kind of level of effort to planning and putting time to your week. Because the reason why a lot of people fail in discipline is they will overpromise on themselves and they'll underdeliver. They'll overpromise, oh, I'll get to the gym 4 nights this week. But because they've not taken the time to sit down and actually plan their week, they know, hey, I can't do that. I can't do that on this night, or I can't train this day. And then it comes to the day and then they realize, oh shit, I've got to, we've got to go to one of the kids' soccer games or something on this night. I forgot about that. Oh, that means I can't go to the gym that night. Oh, it throws everything out. Oh, and then it becomes an issue. I legit just had this conversation with my wife because we've got a very busy weekend coming up. It was a good one. Saturday, we've got my sister's birthday. So we're going to go, to have some, wood-fired pizzas or something like that, at a pool party, whatever. I'm making the pizzas, so that means I don't have to eat them. So I make them and I throw them out and give them to other people. That's the hack, be the chef. Then Sunday, we're going bowling and going out to dinner with some of her friends. And then on Monday, it's my dad's 70th. So we've got all these events coming up. And I'm like, all right, I need to train twice in those 3 days. What are the days that are going to be best? Because we've got it coming up, I've been pre-planning. So she was like, all right, well, Saturday's probably not the best day because we've got to go shopping as well. I'm like, all right, so I'll take my Saturday workout and I'll move it to Friday, which is a bit more relaxed. And then she's like, Monday's probably not going to be a good day for you to train either. Cool. So I'll move the Monday to the Sunday because the Sunday's more relaxed plans. So I know it sounds like heady and I don't have to have that level of effort. But in order for me to get my 4 workouts in that week, the ones that I've committed to, that I'm, I've got a program that's structured that I'm following, that's what I have to do. And it took me 5 minutes, made the adjustments, and yes, it changed things up a little bit, but without that awareness and without that structure, you would just be left like, oh fuck, I can't train today. And then you're in a bad mood. Then you have a fight with your wife. And that's all of the cascading stuff and the flow-on effects that happens from not having discipline and not having structure around your life.
Man, I completely agree. I think it's that's the essentially structural discipline, right? Mm-hmm. There's reactive discipline when we're like, oh, I should, work out 4 times a week.
Chicken?
It's like I should eat healthy, and we're constantly trying to create decisions in the moment. And when we're trying to rely on reactive discipline, then we rely on willpower. When we're trying to always rely on willpower, we're destined to fail. We just are. When we have structural discipline, where it's like, this is what I'm going to eat, this is what I'm going to eat, this is what I'm going to train, this is where I'm going to train, this is how I'm going to train. I think what that does is it means you're probably only going to react like 10%, maybe max 20% of the time. It's like, this didn't go to plan. I'm going to have to reallocate different things for later in the week because we're going away this weekend or anything like that. But I think not only the structural discipline allow you to follow through with, somewhat of the implementation tensions, it also gives you the freedom to get your goals. It also gives you the mental freedom with the less mental load, because that I have goals and I've put them into my diary. So I don't always have to, or put them into my schedule. I don't always have to think, oh, I have to get to the gym. Where am I going to fit in? It's like, you just know. So you don't have that mental load constantly hanging over you where you're trying to do the things you said you're going to do, but instead you know exactly when you're going to do them. So you don't even have to stress about it. It's like, I know I'm going to show up. I know I'm going to do this. And I think it comes back to them accountability. That's why we do that first. And then discipline comes second, because we've already created that sort of progressive overload in showing up with accountability. So you're used to doing what you said you're going to do. And, it's starting small, like we talked about in habits, where you're ticking it off daily. And that means you have more confidence, because someone who follows through has confidence, and confident people have discipline. Okay. It's just how it happens. When you have high amounts of self-doubt, you have low amounts of self-discipline. That's just how it works as well. So, because we doubt ourselves, does this work? Should I wake up? Should I press snooze? It's like, no, man. Like, should you press snooze? Yes or no? The answer is no. Okay. You don't press snooze. You get out of bed. Why? Because you said you're going to work out. That is discipline. And like every time we don't do something, it erodes our self-belief. It erodes our self-confidence, increases our self-doubt. We become even more undisciplined. And all of a sudden, we're just an undisciplined person with undisciplined habits, and the undisciplined results essentially is the mediocrity, okay, of society. So I think if you want to be above average with health, which at the end of the day, it's not that hard. You know, the average person is overweight or obese. So if you want to be above average, it's starting small, become really disciplined about the small things, winning on a consistent basis with accountability, and then continually to progressive overload, making them a little bit harder, which means you're building your discipline muscle, essentially. And I think the biggest thing with discipline is never miss twice. If you said you're going to do something today and you miss it, you never miss 2 days in a row, because you don't want being undisciplined to become the habit.
And that kind of dovetails into, if you want to maintain these results long term, you might think, oh, I've got to be disciplined every single day, and it's going to require this focus every single day. And it's like, well, no, as you get better, we talked about this with habits, as you get better at it, as you get more experienced with it, your bandwidth frees up, and it doesn't become something that you focus on. And we've talked about this before, it becomes who you are. And when it becomes who you are, and you are that person who is disciplined, and you are that person who does plan their meals and choose the healthy option, then that automatically leads itself to sustainability and sustaining results long term. But you've got to shift that identity around who you are. You're not just the person who does these things. You know, you are the disciplined dad who does pick the better meals, who does cook every now and then in the kitchen and make sure that what we're having is going to be healthy, and who does pick the better options, who does go to the gym, who is active with his kids, right? That becomes who you are. When that's your identity, it becomes a lot easier to choose the actions that are in alignment with that identity, as opposed to not choosing those actions, because it's your brain doesn't like to be wrong, right? We talked about this before, the scotoma and looking for the Vegemite in the cupboard, and you can't find it because you've already told yourself you don't know where it is. If you consider yourself to be a fit dad, then you don't even see the options that don't align with who you are, because your brain is like, no, this is who we are, so we do this. We don't even see that other option. We don't even think about missing that session. We don't think about snoozing the alarm, because that's not who we are. But beyond that, as far as sustainability and keeping the results long term, you've just got to keep on top of, there's still a level of active focus that needs to go into this area of life. You can't just hit cruise control now that you've got your results, right? You get to your whatever % body fat, right? You get down to 80 kilos, cool, cruise control, don't have to think about it anymore. There's far less effort that goes into maintaining results than there is that goes into getting the results, but there is still a level of effort. You can't let it go completely to zero. It's got to be, even if it's 10%, 20%, there's still got to be that level of conscious focus. When I wasn't able to train, when I wasn't really aiming for any particular goal, I was still weighing myself every day, right? Now, that works for me because I don't get too caught up about the number that I see. All it was just an indicator for me. Oh, yeah, doing well. Yeah, I had a bigger night last night, so probably, retain a bit of water. All right, just going to keep it on, so I have a good idea. And there's a band, and I'm like, I'm never going to let myself get outside of this band. If I do, then I know, all right, it's time to rein it back in. So it's not that you're never going to have a hard time and gain weight or regress ever again. But if you have one hand still on the wheel and you're still tracking, still maintaining, it's like, okay, cool, I've let things slip. I need to get back into that more. There's a level of, there's discipline, and it's like, yeah, I'm doing what I normally do. And then there's discipline. Like, all right, I'm back into my better routines, right? We all have times when it slips, like, I'll maybe do 2 sessions this week, or maybe I'll hit 6K steps, or, it's pretty hot outside. Oh, we'll just have like a couple of movie nights or a weekend in here and there and do whatever, right? And then, okay, cool. We all have this little wake up moment where it's like, right, back into it. So it's just making sure that you have mechanisms to get to that wake up moment.
Yeah, mate, I love that. And I think with this, I believe the internal dialogue shifts as you go through accountability, discipline, and sustainability, because your identity shifts. When you're starting to try and change your life, you have more of around the tasks, you have this, one second. I'm just on a podcast, guys. Can you shut that door, Jax? Shut the door. I'll come out in a second. Go out. Go out. No, not playing Switch. Nope. Put it down. I'm on a podcast. I need you to put it down. I need you to shut the door. I'll bring it out in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. All right.
That one
back
for the
into
parents.
it. Exactly. What was I saying? I believe that the communication changes our internal dialogue as our identity shifts. When we're starting a transformation, maybe we're 10, 20, 30, 40 kilos overweight, and we need that accountability. And normally the task and the reason why we need the accountability is mentally we're like, I should eat healthy. I should train. I should do my steps. And we need the accountability because we know we should do it, but we need external motivation, which is accountability, to make us do it. And all of a sudden we move out of accountability for that first 60 to 90 days and we move into the discipline focused. I think we more so shift our attitude. And we start to say, hey, I could get to train. I get to eat healthy. I get to have the freedom that this gives me. And we move into that discipline as we're trying to achieve our results. And I think sustainability comes down to more of the last phase. It's like, I love to. Man, me personally, I love to train. I love to eat healthy because I know what I feel like when I don't. And I love to eat healthy because I love to feel abundantly energetic. So I think it's should do, get to, love to. And I think that's the difference of accountability, discipline, and sustainability. And also I think for everyone understands that internal dialogue is so crucial. It's if you're saying I should train, it's nah, man, that is not the language you need to be using. Okay. That means you definitely need the accountability phase. And the last thing is it's easier to sustain once you achieve a result. One, because it doesn't take as much energy, right? When the rocket ship leaves the Earth's atmosphere, it's 80% of the fuel. It's exactly the same to achieve a result. That 80% of your sacrifice and your work all happens to trying to achieve a result. And it's only about 20% of the energy to maintain. Why? Because if you've achieved abs or you achieved the weight loss goal you were looking for, we get to go out of a calorie deficit. We get to go into a calorie maintenance. You get to eat more calories and not put on weight. We don't have to train 5 days a week if you don't want. You want to maintain your muscle mass, train 2 to 3 times a week. If that's what you want to do, if you're just looking to maintain, it's up to you guys. But you get to eat more, you get to train less, and you get to maintain the body you want. It's sustainability is so easy if you don't have another goal. Right. You might have, we just did a Spartan ultra race with a couple of the boys on the weekend. That took our training level definitely up a notch, right? We were doing lots more runs, lots more strength endurance style training because it was a 56-kilometer ultra marathon with 60 obstacles. So we took some of the boys who were in sustainability back into discipline. And we just hammered this pretty brutal training for about a 6 to 8 week period pre-Spartan Ultra. And then we get to, flick back into sustainability. So you get to flick between the two based on what your goals are currently. And I think that's another key distinction, I believe, as we're looking at the differences between the three.
I think you pretty much put a nice sort of bow on it there with you're going to be alternating through these phases, right? It's going to take a lot more effort to get there than it is going to be to maintain it. But the key thing is that it's still going to take effort. So in order for you to not rebound, you need to have a plan in place. And it might be that you need some accountability after your discipline to keep you on your sustainability plan. This is something that a lot of bodybuilders struggle with. They'll hit their goal, right? They'll get on stage and they'll hit the poses and they'll be all tanned up and oiled up, and then as soon as they finish, they don't have a plan for the weeks afterwards. So they end up just binging and eating and relaxing and whatever. And then all of a sudden they've gained 10, 15, 20 kilos and they're that far away up on their stage weight. Now, obviously we're not all looking, to be bodybuilders and that kind of stuff, but we are looking to lose body fat, right? Which is, basically the same goal. They just take it to the extreme and, a couple of extracurricular, injectables,
supplements.
Yeah. Supplements. But that mentality still needs to be in place. If you've never known how to maintain or what maintenance looks like, you might need support during that phase. If you've never known what it's like to eat at baseline, if you've always been that person who chronically diets and then just goes back to what they were doing before and puts it back on, you might need some accountability, because you're like, oh, but fuck, I'm not focusing on weight loss anymore. Why do I still have to eat chicken and rice? It's like, well, guess what? That's kind of what it's going to be. Like, you don't need that for every meal, but majority of your meals are going to still be focused on healthy foods, on whole grains, on, lean proteins. That's still going to be what the focus is. You just get to have a bit more of it, but you've got to enjoy that. It's like, well, fuck, I really don't enjoy eating that. It's like, well, what did you do this for in the first place if it wasn't to be healthier, right? And then you've got to have a whole nother conversation. So it might be worth, if you're having trouble sustaining results, having a coach and having a plan for that post goal completion period. And even if it's another goal that you might work towards, that's why people constantly, they'll bulk and then they'll cut, and they'll bulk and they'll cut, and they don't really know how to maintain, how to just live life, not focused on an aesthetic or health goal. And it does require help to switch off, right? Without switching completely off. So if you find yourself in that place, you do need to look out for some support. You need to actively have a plan for your sustainability, for your long term. What does that look like for you? Are you allowing yourself, 2 meals a week where you get to have whatever you want, one time a week where you go out to dinner, right? What's the what's the flexibility that still keeps you where you want to stay, but that's going to take time to develop as well. So it's, as you can tell, it's individual, it's nuanced. This is why we do coaching, right? We've got spots available to help people with this kind of stuff. You need an outside perspective. You need that extra assistance. That's what people are there for.
Exactly, mate. And that is the podcast for today: accountability, sustainability, and discipline. How you fit that inside your life. If you need coaching, if you want to truly get the results you're after in life, go to fit-dad.club and reach out. We'll have a conversation about, what's holding you back, what's the gap, and, where you want to go. And that's it from us today, guys. You can reach out to us through the Facebook group if you're not in the free Facebook group. Find us on Instagram. Mate, anything else you want to share just as we're closing out?
5-star rating and review. Don't forget to share it with any friends that you want to help inspire to be the best version of themselves. And we'll see you next week.